Welcome, everyone. We have a quorum now. Tyler Clancy is online as our other board member. So we'll begin our meeting for January. This is our last meeting until March. We'll take a break for the legislative session. Let's see, public comment, approximately 4 o'clock, but we have a very, very packed agenda today. So Diana, there she is. If you want to speak, you got to fill out a card and give it to her. And then we will figure it out from there. All right, last time we met was December 9th, and you all were disseminated the meeting minutes. So with that, Jerry, can I get a motion from you on approval of the minutes?
You certainly can. I would move to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2025 of our Inland Port Board meeting.
Thanks, Jerry. Tyler, can I get a second?
Yes, I will second that.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tyler.
Whoops, sorry. Aye.
We'll deal with the unmuting. All right, that passes unanimously. All right, let's move on to Ben for an executive director report. And we're also going to hear from our attorney, Michelle Eben, whose first time we've done a lot of Zoom meetings over the years with her, but the first time we've actually seen her in person. So this is great. But Ben, let's turn some time to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to our board and to those who are in attendance, both in person and online. Happy New Year. The port is looking forward to a very vibrant 2026. I'm going to forego a lot of what I usually do in the executive director report, except to say we do have one quick change and amendment. We need to correct Skyline Corridor and how legal description is identified. We are correcting a west to an east. For those who would like to know what that means, you may go online and see the corrected and updated version as part of the Skyline Corridor project area plan and budget. And with that, Madam Chair, I am going to turn it over to someone who has done a tremendous amount of good for this organization over the last 3 years. This is her first time in person, but she has helped guide us through the purchase of a landfill and numerous other real estate transactions, and has been behind the scenes for a long time. And so, Michelle, thank you. It's great to have you in person. Michelle Eben, if you wouldn't, we will not bring up the Green Bay Packers either. I promised her we would not.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. It's, for the record, I don't like the Bears either.
Yeah. Michelle, would you like to take?
Sure. Thank you so much, Ben, and everyone with the port. I really appreciate all your support over the last few years. I'm excited to be here and meet everyone in person. I'm Michelle Eben with Michael Besson-Friedrich. Really excited to help the port in their next ventures and seeing all the wonderful projects they'll be able to do for the region and the state. So thank you so much for letting me be here today, and excited to help you guys continue.
Perfect. That's our executive director's report for today.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Michelle. Hopefully you find another team to root for this weekend. All right, Mona, you want to come up to the stand and give us an update on the clean ports? Michelle will be joining you as well. Oh, we'll turn all 3 of you on.
Yes, and I am.
As well as Carolyn and Lisa. Sorry, it was on the next page.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I apologize. I did want to be in person. I think I may have contracted the flu last night, so I didn't want to spread the sickness. But thank you for the opportunity to share some very quick updates after completing year 1 of our Clean Ports Program project. Next slide. Just to recap and summarize, last year, the Utah Inland Port Authority was the lead applicant and recipient of approximately $2.4 million award for climate and air quality planning activities at the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal, which is owned by Union Pacific. We partnered with the Division of Air Quality, who led out on an application and was awarded approximately $110 million to deploy zero emission technology at the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal. Our key partners on this project include the Division of Air Quality, Union Pacific, and our local utility, Pacificor. Next slide. And then just to briefly summarize the activities that we have planned to complete with this funding, the Inland Port Authority will develop a baseline emissions inventory for the terminal, will assess diesel emission reduction strategies, gather input from near-port community members, will engage the workers at the terminal on electrification, and then we'll share all of our results in a documented way with the public. The Division of Air Quality will be developing an incentive program that aims to replace diesel trucks, locomotives, and cargo handling equipment servicing the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal with a zero-emission electric vehicle equivalent. Pardon me. They will also fund purchases of EV chargers that would service the new EV equipment coming online. And with that, I'd like to pass the time over to Michelle to share some updates regarding our baseline emissions inventory.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Bonin, and as you may remember from the last time that I presented, I am the emissions inventory analyst for the Clean Ports program here at the Utah Inland Port Authority. I just wanted to give some exciting updates, milestones achieved, as well as next steps of the emissions inventory and emission reduction strategy analysis. First, I wanted to talk about the quality assurance project plan. I talked about this last time, but it's a document required for the federal funding that we received from the Environmental Protection Agency. We received some feedback from it as an update from the Environmental Protection Agency, and I have been working to address those comments. Once the contractor is hired for the baseline emissions inventory, they will also help to finalize the quality assurance project plan with some of their own procedures for things like statistical analysis. I have been looking into some of the existing or collected data that can be used to develop the baseline emissions inventory. I have been in contact with Union Pacific as well as some of their operators to discuss some of the existing data that they could have to share, as well as looking at some of the potential data that could be collected to develop the emissions inventory. Lastly, I have been looking into the motor vehicle emissions simulator. It's a modeling program made by the Environmental Protection Agency to model vehicular emissions. I've been looking into exactly how to use it, as well as what information about it to add to the quality assurance project plan. And this is just a photo of us tabling an event with the Division of Air Quality. Next slide. Next is the request for proposals for the baseline emissions inventory contractor. It was reviewed by state procurement and posted to the state of Utah online solicitation portal, Bonfire, and the vendor list submitted on November 26th. The questions deadline was December 16th, in which we received about 11 questions. The proposal due date was December 23rd, and we have been in the evaluation period scoring 5 proposals for it. Our interview presentations, if necessary, we're going to be held on January 12th, last Monday, but they have been deemed not necessary as we have chosen our contractor for the baseline emissions inventory. And this is just a photo of the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal where the project is taking place. Next slide. Some of the next steps that we have include the semi-annual progress report due January 30th, 2026. So we're going to successfully submit that to the Environmental Protection Agency. We're going to choose the contractor to create the emissions inventory, which has been done, and sign that contract. As the first step, once they're hired on, is to finalize the quality assurance project plan. And I've been working to and will work to refine the emissions data management strategy, analysis procedure, and reduction strategy plan. Overall, we're going to collect and analyze the data to turn it into things like reports, statistical summaries, and graphs to be able to share. And this is just a photo of us at the Weber State University Hybrid and Electric Vehicle Bootcamp training. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caroline, our Community Engagement Manager.
Hi, everyone. As Michelle mentioned, I'm Caroline McElvey, the Community Engagement Manager. Thank you, Madam Chair, for having me. So on the community engagement front, the biggest thing we've been working on is the Nearport Community Steering Committee, finalizing that. So this, again, is a group of around 20 community members who will help provide feedback and guide the grant activities. We received over 40 applications from all 6 of Salt Lake City's West Side neighborhoods, as well as West Valley City. We're now evaluating those and working to finalize the committee. We also received permission from the EPA to hire a part-time co-facilitator for a few hours a month to support me in leading those meetings, and that will also be a chance for a local resident to gain leadership experience. We'll have that first meeting in March 2026, and then from there, we'll have meetings every other month for the duration of the grant. Next slide, please. We've also been doing some other engagement activities. So one thing we've been doing is we've partnered with the Utah Clean Air Partnership on some youth engagement work. We're supporting their Idle Free initiative, and we're also creating an activity focused on fleet electrification for their Youth Ambassadors program. We've also been sharing our approach to community engagement with stakeholders across the country. So for example, in December, we presented on community engagement at the National Port Electrification Network meeting. And we have our ongoing activities, including our bi-monthly newsletter, website and social media updates, and stakeholder meetings and event tabling. Next slide, please. And so next steps are to launch the steering committee and continue the youth collaborations. We'll be doing some tabling this spring and summer. We plan to have a public open house in 2026 to update the public on the progress of the grant. And the steering committee will also help us select and carry out an additional activity. Next slide, please. And then on the workforce engagement front, we just closed the RFP period for our workforce impact analysis. So again, this is an analysis to look at the benefits and mitigate any potential obstacles from a workforce perspective of transitioning towards more electric equipment at the intermodal terminal. So we aim to start that work in early spring 2026. And then we've also been doing research and engagement to understand the landscape of existing workforce resources we might draw on. So as Michelle mentioned, one example was our fall visit to WSU's EV and hybrid boot camp facility. So with that, I'll pass it off to Lisa Burr from DAQ.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Burr. I'm the Grants and Incentives Section Manager at the Division of Air Quality. And I just want to touch on a few specifics and provide a couple of updates on the $110 million grant that the Division of Air Quality is overseeing. Eligibility to participate is focused on cargo handling equipment, locomotives, and drayage trucks that operate exclusively at the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal. Specifically, cargo handling equipment that operates at least 90% of the time at the facility, locomotives that operate at least 75%, and drayage trucks that have a minimum of 100 visits or more per year at the facility. And then the program also covers the necessary charging equipment. For new electric equipment that is replaced with a combustion engine equivalent, meaning a diesel or a gasoline piece of equipment is scrapped, the incentive will cover up to 90% toward the purchase of a new vehicle or piece of equipment. Otherwise, funding is covered at 75%. So there is an added incentive baked in for scrapping equipment with tailpipe emissions. The equipment must be scrapped within 2 years of replacing the piece of equipment or by the time the grant period ends, which is January of 2029, whichever comes first. So that just gives an overview of the scope of what we anticipate funding for the program. And then I just want to give a couple of quick behind the scene updates. We recently hired a new program manager. Her name is Amariah Gibbs. She started in September. Unfortunately, she's ill today and unable to attend, but she has been working closely with Union Pacific and their contractor rail management systems to identify the scope of cargo handling equipment and potential locomotive projects that will be funded through the program. This information gathering will also help inform the charging infrastructure needs. And once we've completed this data gathering exercise, we will then contract with PacifiCorp to conduct a site assessment that will help determine the needed electrical upgrades for the projects. We will also be publicly launching the application process for drayage trucks sometime in the spring. Projects will be selected on a first come, first served basis based on eligibility, and the application will remain open until funds are obligated. For more information, oh, sorry, I didn't tell you to change the slide. Sorry. For more information, you can visit our website at airincentives.utah.gov, and you can also sign up there to receive updates. And with that, I'll turn the time over for questions.
Jerry, you got some questions? Yes, sir. Are you raising your hand, Jerry, or you're just stretching?
No, I'm exercising.
Sorry, I thought that was I should have. Ladies, this is incredible. Thank you for your work. I just want to remind everybody, this is the largest environmental grant that the state has ever received. So it's really exciting to see. There's a lot of work to be done out in that Northwest quadrant, partnering with Union Pacific on getting these old diesel switchers and trains and everything else up to an environmental standard that we expect. Yes, Joel, did you want to raise your hand first? Okay, thanks.
I'm just stretching my fingers as well, but I did have a comment to go with that finger stretching. Just to echo our chairman's comments here, so years ago, going back,
When Joel had hair.
well, not quite that far, but the years and years and years, we would, the state would put in, and it was a major priority for DEQ, and we looked at, there was legislation to try to fund these, especially the switchers, these big heavy locomotives. They were like, I think Air Quality identified them as the single largest polluter, vehicle polluter in the state of Utah at the time. And so to have this opportunity and to have this kind of ability to switch these out really makes a difference. And it has a cumulative effect on our air quality. So as someone who breathes the air here in the Salt Lake Valley, thank you for the work you're doing. It does make a difference. And, we can, I look at this as a great example of how, as we grow and as we develop, new things inherently are cleaner, and we can grow and develop and have cleaner air, better water, better conditions for our citizens in Utah. So thank you for engaging and doing such a great job.
Thanks. All right, let's move on. Thanks, ladies, for your presentation. Get better, Mona. We know it's going around. All right,
Thank
Amy,
you.
we got a couple of board policies, so we'll turn some time to you on those.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am going to be speaking briefly on two policies that we have up that we are planning on doing some small revisions to or presenting for their regular review. We are bringing up the project area and tax differential policy. While it's not up for its review, as we've been discussing and how we can move these project area plans and budgets forward in an optimal way, we've internally looked at and amending this with a small minor revision so that as we do project area plan amendments for the board, we would allow one board meeting and with an optional second board meeting prior to approval. The change is that it would not require the two meetings, but just give us the option. Director Hart, I don't know if you want to say anything about this as you oversee this policy.
I wasn't going to, but
since
you invited, no, I'll just say, look, now that we're where we are as an organization, we have to look for ways to streamline our processes, not lose transparency or accountability. But as we're looking at ways that we can do that, particularly with a board that is always very busy, we realize that there are some places where we potentially can cut back. So as we look at the amendment process and cycling that back to potentially one board meeting as opposed to two, we're going to continue to look for ways where we can optimize transparency, but also reduce some of the processes that are kind of been standardized over the last several years.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I thought you might be just stretching your hand, so I didn't want to overlook you.
The theme of the day, hand stretching.
The other policy that we have up with no changes, but because it is time for its annual review, is the wetlands policy. And I want to give Mona Smith a lot of credence on this for her hard work and diligence in putting this together. She had also reached out and engaged the Utah Wetland Working Group that's facilitated by the Utah State's Wetland Coordinator, just to put it out for their review and see if they had any revisions. And they didn't have any feedback at this time. So we won't be taking action, but we will, again, open it up for, any changes between now and we'll be presenting to our March meeting if there were any changes at this time.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll get to those discussions and motions later in the agenda. Ariane, let's go to you to talk about the AIB loans.
Great, thank you. I have two AIB loans that I'm presenting today. One of them, we have a video presentation. Should I do that one second? Are you ready, Nick? Okay. He's going to have this playing in the background just as I talk, but we had the opportunity to go out to Fairfield Town and see some of the growth out in that area. So you're welcome to watch that as we talk about this loan. Fairfield is asking for a $1.6 million loan. It would be over 15 years. And it would have a 5-year deferral with capitalized interest and then 10 years of annual repayments. It would be at 3.13%. And it will be used to pay for a regional water line that was put into the industrial park that's being shown on the screen, as well as for a future well that would be drilled to help service this industrial park and the other part of town. The differential for the project area is seen as sufficient coverage to cover this loan. And so we're excited to work with the community and bring this infrastructure as they're seeing this build out in the area. Any questions in particular on this loan?
No one's stretching their hands.
No stretches. Okay, great. I will just skip to our next loan, which we don't have some drone footage for this one, but we're just as equally excited about the Salina City AIB loan. This is a $4.66 million loan with a 15-year loan with 5 years deferred and then 10-year repayment. So very similar to the other. Also at a 3.13% interest rate. And this is to help cover the public infrastructure needed in their 18.59 acre village at the South Bridge. It's to cover the public infrastructure for roads, wet and dry utilities, power, and telecommunications. This is unique because it's centered around the infrastructure for our workforce housing needs that we're seeing in rural communities, but it will also have some greater regional infrastructure for the nearby industrial park and RDA that are in that particular area. The differential, along with putting the land as collateral, is seen sufficient to cover the repayment mechanism on this loan.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions? All righty. Thanks, Ariane. Appreciate it. Ben, let's go back to you on, I think, the most exciting thing on this agenda.
I think these probably are our two most exciting things on the agenda today. Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephen Smith is on with us, and I want to recognize him for his amazing work as he's been helping through this process. We're not going to show a slide on this one. I'm just going to give a verbal overview on two separate but related topics. I think it's been widely known and well publicized over the last 3 years as the Utah Inland Port Authority has been created, and ultimately how we work with who we designate even in statute as our principal city. They are the largest city in the Northwest Quadrant project area, that is Salt Lake City. I so appreciate the amazing work that has been done by our current speaker, Abby, the House of Representatives, and also the Senate, in terms of getting the statute right to help forward this partnership forward. We've been able to take from that statute and create an interlocal agreement that allows us to move forward. At the heart of that, though, in my opinion, is how we use the Salt Lake City taxpayer dollars. We understand that those who are paying into that bucket are in the Northwest Quadrant and they want to see benefit. And we also recognize the stewardship on behalf of Salt Lake City for those funds. So over the last several years, we have worked, we hope in good faith, with Salt Lake City, the current administration, and their city council to try and find the most efficient, but also the best places to put this money to ensure we get the most value for the stewardship that we have here. To that end, we've adopted, this organization and the board have adopted an interlocal agreement previously that built on statute. And we have also amended that once. What we're bringing back to the board is 2 items related to that interlocal agreement. The first item, we are going to be asking the board, and the motion will speak for itself, but we're asking for the board to reallocate 1.4 million. Combine that with a motion that was made by Mr. Ferry several months ago in our board meeting, and basically allow for this organization to provide to Salt Lake City a grant for $2.5 million for their public safety efforts. This would also allow us to provide a $2.5 million grant to the Utah Department of Natural Resources for the purchase of lands around the Great Salt Lake for the purpose of wetland conservation. We so appreciate the many people that we've been able to bring into this process, have as our stakeholder groups, and ensure that voices are being heard and represented, but that we're also doing right by protecting those communities and those citizens that are on the west side of Salt Lake City. We feel like a not only one-time investment, but ongoing investment is appropriate. So at the discretion of the board, and with their adopting, we will also amend for a second time that interlocal agreement. The amendment of that interlocal agreement will designate an ongoing revenue source from the Utah Inland Port Authority to Salt Lake City for public law enforcement efforts. Our anticipation is that that will be about $2 million per year. We're going to have to see what that is on a year-over-year basis, but we anticipate that with this action today by the board, we will see a significant investment into the public safety of Salt Lake City and the West Side community. We so appreciate the administration at Salt Lake City, their willingness to work together. We still have a contract that we will have to abide by. That means that we'll have a process that we have to go through. And Madam Chair, I'm going to let you speak to this part, but I do think that there is a desire for the board to make a long-term commitment, not just on the public safety piece, but also on land conservation as well. So, Madam Chair, that is the issue related to the Salt Lake City funding allocation.
Joel, you didn't raise your hand, but I'm going to let you speak because I know you want to speak on this. So
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. I guess there's on this this funding item and this interlocal agreement, as we look at, the impacts that have been kind of front and center on a lot of people's minds associated with Great Salt Lake, as we look at development in some of these areas that are encroaching and getting nearer and nearer to some of those boundaries of the Great Salt Lake you're talking about. Areas that are really close to, you have this interaction with the lake, with the riparian freshwater marshes as you get out into the kind of the saltier body of the lake. And these are very unique ecosystems that exist. And a lot of the bird species are very sensitive to noise and light and other things. And so creating having the opportunity to have a funding source to protect some of these lands long-term in perpetuity is a really important thing, because it basically sets a standard to say, okay, this is where, we develop and this is where we don't. And looking at those in the proper context and light, and being able to have, it is so difficult to try to find the funding sources, and having an opportunity to do this where this is non-federal, this is, state, local money. The Department of Natural Resources in particular has the ability to go out and match this money, both through federal funding sources, whether it's through habitat funding, Pittman-Roberts money, or working and partnering with other conservation groups. We're able to, on average, we're able to 4 or 5 times this kind of dollar. So every $1 million that we pledge in conservation, we bring in another $3, $4, $5 million. And we're able to do some really good work with that. And so this is something that I think it's very clear that when we talk about benefits to communities, having places where people can go and recreate, having open space, and having the ability for these lands to be protected, that the citizens of Utah, but in particular the citizens that are most nearest to that Northwest quadrant, because that's where these funds will ultimately go back into, is protection of lands in that Northwest quadrant area, is critical. And it's really important. And I'll just say this, that really some of the kind of ecosystems that we would target are some of the most fragile, limited, and diminishing. They're the ones that are going the quickest. And so that's what our focus is our focus is to protect those lands. Those lands typically will have water on them. That water flows through and gets down to Great Salt Lake, which helps the lake. But these are those unique ecosystems that exist in this desert environment that are irreplaceable that we're going to target. And so this is a great opportunity where you, again, the development can help in the protection long-term of these critical ecosystems. So thank you.
Thanks, Joel. I'll just say, and this has been a huge work in progress for many of us over the past year. Since the adoption of the inland port back in when Senator Stevenson passed the original bill back in 2018, the evolution of the interlocal agreement has been broad. But for the past couple of years since we've reauthorized this board, we've really been focused on where the impact is because of the Northwest quadrant and all the work that we're doing out there on both the business community out there, the people that live out there, and then also the environment, as Joel just spoke to. And for us, collectively as a board, the two things that rose to the top were public safety and conservation. And so we made it our mission really over the last year to make sure those were the two things that we supported with the differential money that's coming in from Salt Lake City. I want to publicly thank the mayor and Aaron for working with us on this. If I can be so bold, there's been a lot of stuff that wasn't impactful that came in for the use of this funding. And it was really the boldness of this board that said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to make sure that this has long impacts and that will gain that, as you said, just the continued momentum of this area. We know from Chief Red, he's taken us all out there on drives and everything else with his police department. It's a huge problem. The public safety issues are a huge problem out there, from theft and the homelessness that's going on out there. So to have an additional ongoing resource that's a significant amount of money, $2.5 million annually, approximately $2 million annually, is a lot of officers, a lot of boots on the ground to make sure that that area is protected and represented by the local law enforcement. So I'm really, like I said at the very beginning before Ben started speaking, this is my favorite thing on the agenda because we're doing two big things today. We're increasing law enforcement out there in the Northwest quadrant, which everyone should be happy about. And we're protecting the Great Salt Lake in a significant way on the preservation and on the wetlands mitigation. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved in this because this is a big day. Oh, Clancy, did you want to say something, sir?
Well, I just wanted to echo your comments, Chair Osborne, that I think this is a very big step and it's a monumental motion, and I'm in full support. You and Director Ferry said everything that needs to be said. I just wanted to add another thank you to Director Hart. I think one of the biggest and most impactful ways that Director Hart has been a leader for the inland port is his collaboration with local governments that we partner with. And this is just another example. And this isn't pennies on the dollar here. This is a significant investment. It's going to have a significant impact on the quality of life for the residents in the Northwest area of Salt Lake City and for the state of Utah. So just wanted to add my thanks and a shout out there, and I'll certainly be supporting the motion.
Thanks, Representative Clancy. Appreciate that. Ben, anything else from you? All righty. So now we're on this resolution, right? For Stephanie. Stephanie, if you want to come up, middle chair. Give us resolution 26-02, the creation of the Interstate Technology Park PID.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chair and members of the board. Really briefly wanted to give you an overview of the Interstate Technology Park PID. We presented it last meeting as the Tooele Valley Public Infrastructure District 2. This is the new name for the new PID that we are creating in this area. This will be covering the newly amended parcels of the project area that we amended late 2025. It's going to be encompassing about 342 new acres. This will be the second PID in the project area, and this second PID will add to the bonding efficiency that we can receive in this area. And I have listed here on the slide a number of crucial infrastructure developments that this PID will be focusing on through its creation. So any questions from the board on that item?
I don't see any, but you keep rolling.
Excellent. The next agenda item that I wanted to present on is a tax sharing agreement with the city of Garland. You may remember the Lakeshore Learning Project, such a monumental project for Garland City and for the region. They've already invested $220 million into the community, have created over 400 jobs at this point to create that 1.2 million square foot distribution center. Massive project, really incredible. The Garland City ask is pretty modest. They financed some improvements to Factory Street for this project. It's a qualifying expense per our plan and budget, and they're requesting $3.3 million as a percentage of the remaining tax differential, up to that $3.3 million figure. And the city will deploy these funds to pay off that financing that they acquired for those Factory Street improvements. Any questions on the tax sharing agreement with Garland City?
If no one has seen that building, you should go see it. It's gigantic. I think you can see it from space.
Definitely see it from the freeway.
Yeah.
They've been tremendous partners to the community, and I think are going to be great corporate citizens for that city. This is a small thing that we can do to help support the city, and this will about wrap up the differential generated by this project. It'll all be allocated, which we're really excited about. Any other questions?
I don't see any.
Excellent.
One more from you.
One more. The next item I'd like to bring up is an interlocal agreement with Brigham City. This interlocal agreement is addressing specifically sales tax generated within the project area boundaries that UIPA is currently collecting. The city has requested that we remit back to the city those sales tax revenues that are being generated in the project area. This is a really nominal amount, but there's enough sales tax being generated that we want to make sure that all of that gets back to Brigham City. This is an interlocal agreement that we've executed with other cities and other project areas. And we want to make sure that we're good partners to the city and can provide this back to them. We don't anticipate that within our project areas, we will be generating a significant amount of sales tax. But for the sales tax that is collected, we will be distributing that back to Brigham City.
Okay.
Any comments on the interlocal agreement with Brigham City?
Well, that's a great deal for the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right, Jenna, online, we'll go to you.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay.
I love the new look of these slides. Yeah, calm steam, nice job.
Oh. It disappeared on my end. Sorry.
We can still see it.
Okay. Can you see the Bear Center now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So the Bear Center is located in Ancient Sky Project area. It is a 6,500 square foot commercial building that will offer workspace options, meeting rooms, and housing units. San Juan County is very excited about this. The actual incentive amount is not going to be very high, but they are very excited to support this type of endeavor and to offer this to their community. It will open up a lot of workforce development opportunities and some space for current entrepreneurs to expand without having to actually build their own buildings or move into some existing areas that actually aren't existing in San Juan County because not a lot of people build on spec down there. So it will support both of our goals as UIPA to enhance the workforce development and grow these project areas by following San Juan County's lead in what kind of development they would like to see. So San Juan County would like to offer them up to 30% incentive for 3 years. I've listed out the criteria that they would like the Bear Center to meet to receive that incentive each year. Year 1, they want to complete and activate the Bear Center, deliver 1 workforce housing unit. So they're actually planning on having apartments in the same building as the meeting spaces. So they would like to have at least 1 of those open and offered to the general public as workforce housing. They're actually in talks with a couple of the larger developments down there to exclusively rent to their employees. There's a few of the companies that are interested in kind of cornering that and having it available to any type of workers that maybe come from outside the area and need a place to live while they figure out exactly where they want to be permanently. And then they are requiring an ongoing contribution to community vitality and business activity. This actually is a group that has a lot of projects going that have a large interest in seeing San Juan County be successful. So they're just trying to push these guys to continue moving down that path. Year 2, they want to see an increased focus on leasing private office space. So they're basically going to finish part of the building and then continue as those get rented out to build out the rest of the building. Incentives are tied to occupancy, tenant mix, and demonstrated economic activity. So basically, if they continue moving along the path that they've outlined to San Juan County, they would like to reward them by offering them that post-performance incentive. And then in year 3, they want to see completion of the building and all of the apartments available for rent to the workforce and all of the meeting spaces opened to both the businesses and for Utah State University down there because they do have some classroom constraints that they would like to see some other areas available for. So this incentive was presented to the Tax Differential Committee on December 3rd, 2025 and received a unanimous favorable recommendation. And I think we've got those motions later in the agenda to actually go over.
Thanks, Jenna. No questions from anyone here. We'll just let you keep rolling.
Okay, perfect. Next up is Black Gold Project Area. And this project area is in Duchesne County. So we've got Duchesne County and Roosevelt City. There is a need to, according to the statutory requirements of the inland port, there is a need to effectuate a public purpose. There's a public benefit to the proposed development project. It is economically sound and feasible to adopt and carry out the project area plan. And carrying out this project area plan will promote the goals and objectives stated in subsection 1158-203. So basically the county came to us and they are worried about over demand and a lot of growth that could become very quickly unmanageable in Duchesne County with the new railroad coming in, with all of the projects and the interest in that part of the state. They wanted to partner with UIPA to make sure that they manage that growth effectively and they're able to keep up with the infrastructure demands and also kind of all of the development and the other companies that are coming to them. They wanted a partner to be able to manage all of that. And so they've asked us to partner with them. Oh, I've got Deb Heron on the call. If she would like to take a minute and kind of talk from the county's perspective on how they see this project area, benefiting their county.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Chair and members of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Duchesne County appreciates the Inland Port Authority's partnership and your consideration of the Black Gold project area. This project area is a practical tool for strengthening our local economy while supporting the Inland Port statewide mission. At its core, the Black Gold project area helps Duchesne County diversify our economy. Our region has long depended on energy production and agriculture. Those industries remain important, but they are also affected by bust and boom cycles. This project area allows us to intentionally attract additional industries such as logistics, manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, as well as information technologies. And so we're very excited about that. Those industries build on our existing strengths while reducing long-term economic risk. A broader mix of industries means more stable jobs, stronger household incomes, and greater resilience during market downturns. The project area also improves our ability to attract businesses. Rural communities often struggle to compete for investment, not because we lack land or workforce, but because infrastructure and financing tools are limited. The Utah Inland Port Authority helps change that. Through this project area, Duchesne County can offer businesses a coordinated development framework, access to incentives, and clear alignment between state and local partners. For site selectors, this sends a simple message. This is a community that is prepared, organized, and ready for responsible growth. Just as important, the Black Gold project area helps address one of our biggest challenges, and that's critical infrastructure. Roads, utilities, power capacity, broadband, transportation improvements. In rural areas, these investments are often cost prohibitive. The Utah Inland Port model allows future tax growth generated within the project area to be reinvested back into that area. That means infrastructure can be built when it is needed and where it has the greatest impact. These investments support business development, but they also benefit residents by improving safety, connectivity, and quality of life. Finally, this project area positions Duchesne County within a broader statewide logistics strategy. The Uinta Basin already generates significant freight activity from energy, agricultural, and natural resources. The Black Gold project area allows us to better plan for that activity while creating opportunities for value-added industries over time. This is not speculative development. It is measured, it is phased, and it is grounded in real economic activity that already exists. In closing, the Black Gold project area gives Duchesne County the tools to grow responsibly, diversify strategically, and invest in infrastructure that supports long-term prosperity. It reflects strong collaboration between local governments and the Utah Inland Port Authority, and it aligns with the statutory goals of economic development, job creation, and efficient movement of goods. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah. Do we have Jake here from Roosevelt City? I don't see him online, just double checking. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be with us today, but Roosevelt City is interested in utilizing this project area to revitalize their downtown area. They've got a lot of growth happening, and a lot of that is moving away from the downtown area. They also want to focus on managing anticipated growth and the infrastructure needs on the outskirts and where their industrial zones are going to be. As Deborah alluded to, we do have some target industries. We're looking at focusing on logistics, manufacturing, warehousing and distribution, energy production, and natural resources in this project area. We're hoping that we can attract a lot of complementary businesses to those as well and grow the businesses that are currently there. Black Gold project area promotes the following goals and objectives to be considered a UIPA project area: ABC, DEF, GHI, JKL, MNO, QR, and S, which basically it hits almost every single box that UIPA has statutorily required to promote a project area. This is just an informational presentation for the board today. There won't be any board action, and we'll do our second review in March of 2026. Any questions from the board?
I don't see any, Jenna.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. Oh,
Jenna, you're gonna do Ancient City or Ancient Sky, excuse me,
Ancient Sky, yep.
and Pony Express.
Yep. Okay, for Ancient Sky, we are doing an amendment, and I probably should have mentioned this in the Black Gold one as well. We have the areas in Duchesne County mapped out, and we are looking to add some area in Roosevelt City. We kind of overwhelmed Doug when he first started with us, and for that we apologize, but not enough to stop. So we weren't able to get maps and everything for Roosevelt City uploaded, so expect some changes between the first and second presentation. Same thing with this Ancient Sky First Amendment. We've got some area out in the county that we're adding in. This includes the Bear Center that we spoke about, the incentive, and some other area in LaSalle where they're hoping to do some additional housing. We're working with Monticello City and Blanding City to add in some properties and some parcels within their city limits. Monticello City passed a resolution in March of this year as we were creating the Ancient Sky project area, but we weren't able to get some parcels from them and get them added in time for the creation of the project area. And Blanding City went through some changes in their city manager, so they were going to hold off until the new city manager took over. So we'll be adding those two areas into the second presentation for the First Amendment to Ancient Sky. But for now, we're going to focus on the areas in the county where they would like to see some additional housing and some other projects that are tied to current businesses that are expanding. We're also working with the municipal officials and the native tribes to identify projects out on the reservation that the tribes are very excited that somebody is there willing to help them and looking to support the reservation and the Native Americans that live out there. The area shown on this map is about 1,457 acres. Parcels in Blanding City and Monticello City will also be added, like I mentioned before. And this amendment was presented to the Tax Differential Committee on January 6, 2026, and received a unanimous favorable decision. Today, we're just doing an informational presentation. There will be a second presentation in March for consideration by the board.
Thanks, Jenna. One more.
One more. And they all decided to close on me. Sorry,
Jenna,
what was that?
Just while you're pulling that up, please go ahead and continue to pull that up. Let me reference during her presentation, Jenna referenced that we have a new GIS person. We've not had an in-house GIS person for the last couple of months, several months. We are very fortunate that we were able to convince Doug Pierce to come join the Inland Port team. I know Senator Stevenson knows Doug from his work at Layton City. He spent over 30 years there. Doug is probably the foremost GIS expert in the state of Utah. I'm going to say that. I know he probably wouldn't, but he does a lot of tremendous work with how many maps and how much we're dealing with across the state of Utah. He's just been a lifesaver. So I just want to give him a welcome to the port while Jen is getting that up.
Yes, we all appreciate him. He's been great so far and very responsive as we've thrown a whole bunch of stuff at him. This is the second presentation for the First Amendment to the Pony Express project area. It includes parcels within Payson City. We aren't changing anything in Fairfield and Cedar Fort. We're just adding Payson City and the parcels that they would like to see. We did an open house last week, which is actually the first one that I've seen done before we actually created the project area. We got some great questions and some great feedback from the landowners. Everybody was invited and quite a few showed up. And it was really great opportunity to be able to explain what it means to be in a project area and what Payson City's goals are for this project area. I think we got a lot of great feedback, and I think we'll get a lot of great projects that we can partner on with them. This amendment will add about 716 acres, and they're looking at focusing on manufacturing, life sciences, and advanced manufacturing. But they do have a lot of things. There's a rail line that runs straight through this area, so they're looking at maybe capitalizing on that rail adjacent property a little bit more. But figuring out how exactly that will work is going to take a lot of working with UIPA and our logistics team, which we're very excited about. This amendment was presented to the Tax Differential Committee on October 9th, 2025, and received a unanimous favorable recommendation. And the staff recommends that the Utah Inland Port Authority Board moves to approve amendment number 2 to the Pony Express project area. Any questions on this one?
I don't see any, Jenna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Amy, back to you on a resolution 06 for the year.
Thank you so much. I will speak briefly to this. As we have discussed, there are times when maybe a municipality or a city would like to have or have granted back that sales and use tax. As it was presented earlier by my colleague Stephanie Pack of the Brigham City Interlocal Agreement, we've been discussing the best way to handle this in the most efficient way. And as we've consulted our legal counsel, what we'd like to do is have a resolution that would allow our executive director, Ben Hart, to negotiate these into an MOU agreement that would give us the codification and record for this, but still move forward in those instances where these municipalities and cities would like this return. So we're just asking for board approval to move forward with that.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't see any questions. So, all right, Ariane, let's go to you. Mona's going to hop back on as well, it looks like.
Yes. One moment, we're just getting the slide pulled up. We had the opportunity to go through a fair and competitive RFP process. We're trying to build a very solid financial team that we can not only use here at the port as we see capital needs in the future, but also for the public infrastructure districts that are associated with us. So we just went through the RFP for bond and legal counsel disclosure, and we're coming to you as the board to request approval for a contract with Gilmore Bell. The way that the payment structure usually works for these is they're going to charge in as a bond issue is done for their work. And so we're not asking for a particular budget, but we are going to be seeking a 3-year contract with 2 optional 1-year extensions. And we're excited for the opportunity to work with them. We know we had some great other competitors, but we feel like this is a good function to have them in here for the port and the infrastructure districts we're working with.
In the not often issuance of a bond, then they give us legal and bond advice that comes back to the board for approval.
Yes.
Charges
Yes.
a fee for their time. And we have that budgeted inside our legal budget. Is that what we're
inside
doing?
the official statement? Yep. So
Okay.
as we come, if we were to come to the board with a bond offering, they would be the ones to work on that. And then the approval would come from the board to pay for these services.
Okay.
Generally, they're going to be working with the infrastructure districts that we are sponsoring throughout the state. And so those boards would approve the budget and associated with those issuance. But if we at the Inland Port do our own issuance, then it will come to this level.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. All right, let's open it up to public comment. Oh, is this not in the same one? Sorry.
No
My
worries.
apologies.
No worries. I will be very brief. We are excited to announce that we have selected Ramble to award the contract for our baseline emissions inventory and emission reduction strategy analysis services. And I'd like to hand over the time to Michelle to share some brief highlights of the company and why their proposal stood out.
Hi, we chose Ramble for numerous reasons. One of the top ones being that they have federal grant experience through the Environmental Protection Agency with grants like the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, as well as the Climate and Air Quality Planning Grant through the Clean Ports Program that we are currently operating under. Additionally, they have in-depth emissions inventory experience with ports. They have worked with both maritime ports as well as inland ports, and including specifically intermodal terminals for rails and ports. This is important for this project since this project takes place at the Salt Lake City Intermodal Terminal. Additionally, they also have experience with emission reduction strategies, including things like decarbonization pathways for ports and rails. Due to all of these reasons, we believe with their experience with ports as well as their experience with emissions that they are a great fit to be our baseline emissions inventory contractor.
I'm assuming DEQ and was with you on this determination of this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, we invited their team to join us on the evaluation committee. So we had members from both the Utah Inland Port Authority and the Division of Air Quality evaluating the proposals. And that's our plan for the next RFP that's upcoming as well.
Okay, perfect. Any questions from the board? All righty. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Mona. All right, let's turn it over to some public comment. We have two people that have asked to speak. We'll go to Dr. Courtney Henley first. The middle mic is the on mic.
Is it on? Mm-hmm. Hi, thank you. I'm Dr. Courtney Henley. I serve on the board of directors of Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. I serve on the legislative committee and women's physician section of the Utah Medical Association, and I serve on the board of the Greater Avenues Community Council. I tell you all this just to let you know, I really care about my community. I'm not paid to be here. I'm not making any money. I'm just here to remind you guys, we have the most expensive healthcare in the world, and we have the poorest outcomes of any patient population in the world. And the reason is because our government poisons our people. And I think especially the Utah Inland Port Authority poisons our people. And if you want to know what the poison looks like, when you step outside today, don't take a deep breath because you're going to poison yourself. Lung cancer, brain cancer, heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, spontaneous abortions, learning disabilities. We've been talking about this since when Mr. Hart and Senator Stevenson created the Inland Port in 2018. I'm glad to see some baseline studies happening. A lot of people have become diseased and are dead, so they're missing out. I'm also going to just say a prayer for Fairview Town. The well that's being dug is for a data center, and no small town anywhere in the world has ever benefited from having a data center. No doubt Fairview Town is struggling. It's a small town, just like many across America, but taking all their power, creating huge power costs, draining the water, it's a nail in the coffin of Fairview Town. I really urge you guys not to fund this well. If you do, rest in peace, people of Fairview. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's go to Mayor McKinney.
Well, thank you for supporting my town. It is Fairfield Town, it's not Fairview. The well that we are drilling has nothing to do with the data center. It actually has to do with that our well is a 6-inch well that provides water for my entire town. So we had a industrial development that came to our town, and by the time they allocated out their water rights, we would be left with nothing. And so my residents would be in return trying to figure out how to accommodate our water system. Nobody's taking any water. Nobody's building a data center in my city. This is watching out for my residents to watch for future growth. And it is my obligation to take care of my residents and make sure that we have adequate water.
Thanks,
So,
Mayor.
Thank you for taking care of us and being a partner with us.
Thank you. All right, looks like all public comments, so that will conclude our public comment portion. If you weren't able to speak, we always encourage you to send in, I don't have it written down, but the website that you normally send it in, utahinlandport.com. There is a time period in our rules that allow for, thank you. All right, let's go to the approval of the AIB loans. Larry, will you display the motion, please? All right, let's start with Fairfield Town. Ben, we'll let you read those.
I will read these off, Madam Chair. The proposed motion, the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves an infrastructure loan to Fairfield Town from the Inland Port Authority Revolving Loan Fund under the following terms. Loan amount 1.6 million, term 15 years, interest rate 3.13%. Payment schedule, payments are deferred for the first 5 years, which includes capitalized interest. Annual payments commence after the deferral period.
Thanks, Ben. Any comment on that motion? Proposed motion? All right, Jerry, I'm going to look to you for a motion to approve the loan to Fairfield Town.
I would move approval for the loan to Fairfield Town.
Thank you. Representative Clancy, to you for a second.
I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay unmuted for a little while, Representative Clancy. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Let's go, Ben, to the Salina City.
The chair, Madam Chair, the proposed motion, the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves an infrastructure loan to Salina City from the Inland Port Authority Revolving Loan Fund under the following terms. Loan amount 4.66 million, term 15 years, interest rate 3.13%, payment schedule. Payments are deferred for the first 5 years, which includes capitalized interest. Annual payments commence after the deferral period.
Very good. Thanks, Ben. Jerry?
And I would move for approval of this Salina City loan.
Thank you. And Representative Clancy for a second.
I will second that.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion for Salina City AIB loan, please say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. All right, let's go on to the Cast Enterprises.
The Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves for Cask Enterprises an incentive of up to 30% of property tax revenue generated for the project for 3 years based on benchmarks set by San Juan County and the Utah Inland Port Authority. This is contingent upon the UIPA Board approving Amendment Number 1 to the Ancient Sky project area.
Thank you, Ben.
And I would move for approval of the Cask Enterprises incentive.
Thanks, Jerry. Tyler, to you for the second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So all those in favor of this Cast Enterprises incentive in San Juan County, please say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. Ben, let's move on to the Salt Lake City interlocal funding allocation.
All right, this one has a couple of moving parts, but the proposed motion, the Utah Inland Port Authority Board reallocates $1,482,495 from the previously allocated funds as part of the leachate protection program and the $3,517,505 of funds that were previously allocated to the economic development and other funds that were previously put into a holding account for policing, conservation, and remediation, and moves that 2.5 million be allocated to Salt Lake City for public safety and 2.5 million be allocated to the Department of Natural Resources for wetland conservation efforts.
It's a big deal.
A big deal, very big. I would move for approval of the transfer of funds and reallocations we have done in this motion.
I'll second that motion, Senator.
Thanks, Representative. All those in favor of the Salt Lake City international or interlocal funding reallocation, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay. All right, let's look at Resolution 2601, the Salt Lake City International Agreement Amendment number 2.
The motion is to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement, second amendment between Salt Lake City Corporation, Redevelopment Agency of Salt Lake City, and the Utah Inland Port Authority Board and the Utah Inland Port Authority.
Thanks, Ben.
And I would so move. Excuse me. So I would so move.
Thanks.
And I'll
Chair.
second that.
Thank you, Representative Clancy. All those in favor of the motion to adopt this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Let's look to Resolution 2602, the creation of the Interstate Technology Park.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Utah Inland Port Authority providing for the creation of the Interstate Technology Park Public Infrastructure District as an independent body, corporate and politic, authorizing and approving a governing document, an interlocal agreement, and a notice of boundary action delegating to certain officers of the UIPA the authority to execute and approve the final terms and provisions of the governing document, the interlocal agreement, the notice of boundary action, and other documents related thereto, authorizing the district to provide services relating to the financing and construction of public infrastructure within the district, appointing a board of trustees for the district, authorizing other documents in connection therewith and related matters.
Thanks, Ben. Take a drink after that one.
I would move the resolution that provides for the creation of the Interstate Technology Park bid.
Tyler, looking to you for a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion to adopt this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right, let's go to the Garland tax sharing agreement with the city of Garland on their sales tax distribution.
This one is much less complex. The motion is that the board approve the Garland City tax sharing agreement.
Very simple. Representative Stevenson or Senator Stevenson, we can make you representative, I guess.
I would move to the agreement, let's see, the resolution approving the tax sharing agreement between the Utah Inland Port and Garland City.
Thanks, Senator.
I'll second that motion.
Thanks, Representative Clancy. All those in favor of this motion to adopt this resolution, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Now let's move on to Resolution 04 for Brigham City.
A resolution of the Utah, the motion is to approve a resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approving interlocal cooperation agreement between Brigham City and the Utah Inland Port Authority.
Looking for a motion on the adoption of that resolution.
And I would move that resolution 2026-04 is a resolution approving. The motion would be to approve the interlocal agreement between the Utah Inland Port Authority and Brigham City.
I'll second the motion from Senator Stevenson.
Thank you. All those in favor of that motion to adopt the resolution, please say aye.
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 All right, moving on to 26-05, the Pony Express project area.
We're almost there, Madam Chair. I promise. And
No,
to the
yeah,
members of
we're
the board,
doing
a
great.
couple more. A resolution, the motion is to approve a resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board adopting amendments to the Pony Express Inland Port Project Area Plan.
And I would move that we adopt the resolution 2605 that would approve the amended plan for the Pony Express project area.
Thanks, Senator.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Representative. All those in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Let's move on to Resolution 2606. This is the tax sharing agreement and the return of the sales tax to the local entities.
This, the board approves a resolution granting authority to executive director to enter into agreements for the return of sales tax.
I would move resolution 2026-06, authorizing Utah Inland Port Authority Executive Director to enter into agreements to return sales tax collected within the project areas to local governments.
Thank you, Senator. Looking for a second?
Second that.
Thank you. Appreciate the second. This is my second favorite resolution of the day. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. All right, let's go to what Ariane and Mona talked about with the bond council and the Clean Ports Baseline Emission Services. Let's start with the contract for the bond council first.
The proposed motion is for the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves the contract for Gilmore Bell for bond and legal disclosure services for a duration of 3 years with 2 optional 1-year extensions with specific amount to be authorized in concurrence with UIPA board approval of bond issuance.
Thank you. Looking for a motion on.
I would move that we approve the contract for the bond disclosure council services.
Thank you, Senator. And a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. And finally, our Clean Ports Baseline Study.
The proposed motion is for the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves the contract for Ramble for Clean Ports Baseline Emission Inventory Services not to exceed $596,000 through contract execution through December 1st, 2027 with no option for renewal.
Thank you, Ben. Looking for a motion to approve.
I would move that we approve the Clean Ports Baseline Emissions Inventory Services.
And I'll second that motion.
Thanks, Tyler. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn this board meeting? Either one of you.
I would move to adjourn.
Thank you very much. With that, that is non-debatable. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.